companies don't shift that approach, that's going to impact performance for these organizations.
Do you think go-to-market teams will shrink in size with the abundance of AI tools and systems that are out there?
The fundamentals of selling, it actually hasn't changed if you look back for 100 years, right? Like you could actually produce more revenue based on... In this episode, we're going to talk about the 2025 go-to-market predictions that are going to impact your pipeline and your business.
All right, Louis, so what is the thing that companies are completely getting wrong with their go-to-market in 2025? And look, why do you think it's obvious they'll fail because they're doing this?
Yeah, good question. I think, and this has been, the storm has been coming, right? I think there's a lot of businesses that are still leveraging the old, let's just get leads, as many leads as possible model, or the methodology of just driving top of funnel, inbound, outbound, webinar, just all types of leads, and then attacking them with no segmentation. And I think in 2025, especially now that we have AI that's kicked in, that companies are just getting bombarded. There's more emails happening. There's more messages on LinkedIn. If companies don't shift that approach and start becoming more segmented in the way that they manage their leads, start to get more tailored with their messaging, that's going to impact performance for these organizations.
So if AI becomes the cornerstone of go-to-market,
Yep.
then where does that leave the human touch in 2025?
So we know the data shows us that the thing that impacts, what impacts buyers the most is the experience they have with the salesperson, right? And I'm not talking about, it's the interaction they're having across the entire buying process. We also know that the data shows us that organizations, they want to buy without dealing with a salesperson because historically salespeople haven't been creating enough value in the process. But on the flip side, when we do a lot of win-loss analysis, Dave, we actually hear from buyers say, I bought from you because of the experience that you created. That human touch is essential. We're also seeing a lot of salespeople, and this is where the foundations come in, right? A lot of people will try to cut corners. We saw it with video, yeah? We saw it with email. You'll have a portion of organizations and sellers that will think, great, I've got AI, I'll do it at scale. But they're actually harming the brand. They're harming their ability to impact their audience. Again, AI isn't there to replace what we do as sellers, it's to enhance it, but it doesn't replace. And again, if we think about the foundations, the fundamentals haven't shifted, right? We have to create value. We have to build a relationship, and we have to help our customers choose us. They're the fundamentals, right? And AI is there to enhance it. We use it, but it doesn't replace, and we're not trying to cut corners, Dave.
No, I love that, right? So like we're not anti-AI by any means. We're pro-AI. I think we've got that many subscriptions to different AI tools. We're testing things out.
Yeah.
It's part of what we do and what we share with our community about what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
But the thing that you mentioned there, which is perfect, is that it's there to enhance what we do. It's to make us more productive, to give us more time back.
Yeah.
Just to give some examples on how we use it, we're using it to do customer research, to analyze our sales calls, to give us our own coaching on our own calls that we're doing, to help us write our proposals. It's to basically help us find the things that we're not seeing and to help us produce these things a lot faster.
Absolutely.
There's some great tools out there. There's even one I saw earlier that's coming out by our friends at Lavender.
Yep.
That's about drafting AI emails, but not on scale.
Correct.
Right?
And
it's for you to still send out manually, but it's going to help you create email content that's really going to resonate.
And our friends at Copy.ai, right? Kyle Coleman, the CMO there, what they've been able to do with that platform is awesome. But again, if we look at from an individual contributor's perspective, one of the simplest ways you can leverage AI in 2025, give an example, we do this. The sales process hasn't changed. You talk to an organization, you need to take your notes, you need to have a clear problem statement, current state, future state. And it takes time to write that up. What we do, we take the transcript of a call with the prospect or the buying committee, if there's multiple, we throw it in our chat. We've got a custom GPT that we created. We have told it what good looks like with our discovery brief. And then within a few minutes, it actually populates your discovery brief. Then you need to contextualize a little bit. That is how AI can enable us, turn me into a sales weapon, so to speak, right? Because it's just saved me hours of time writing it up. that's a very good use case of how I've leveraged, a recording tool, taken the transcript, built a custom GPT, and now I've produced a document that I can then send or put in my digital deal room to the prospect. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question there to follow on.
Yeah.
Do you think go-to-market teams will shrink in size with the abundance of AI tools and systems that are out there?
Yeah, I definitely think that there are particular roles, like if you think about some organizations have still got the sales admin or sales operation component, and I definitely think that'll impact teams. I do think that you could potentially, from a go-to-market perspective, if you do get this model right, you could produce more as a rep, right? Like you could actually produce more revenue based on the amount of time that you're spending. Because you are right, account research, we're using it. It's helping us from an account research, building our lists, helping us do define what's the trigger. These are things that took us hours, and it's speeding that process up. The key thing though, it's speeding it up, it's not replacing.
No, that's right.
Because I need to have the conversation. I need to jump into the meeting with our prospect, with the C-suite. We need to be asking the right questions. AI can help us draft those questions, but we still got to execute. There's the tonality piece. There's the, you got to have intuition to know when to pull back, when to push forward, right? When to multi-thread, when not to multi-thread. AI doesn't replace that, Dave.
Yeah, and this is where we're big believers on within a company, a salesperson, AE, whatever you want to call the role that they're given, are going to be your greatest asset.
Correct.
Especially ones that leverage AI.
Yeah.
They're going to be the ones that drive a crap ton of revenue. Now, let me lead on to what go-to-market tactic do you think would be obsolete in 2025?
A different, and we're seeing it now. Like the spamming, the mass spamming, and it's getting worse, right? I think for me, if that's part of your GTM model, like delete
What
it.
do you mean by spamming? Are you talking like just 1,000 cold emails a day,
Exactly.
no relevance?
Getting 1,000, just having a list.
Surface level relevance.
Correct. Pushing out, that whole, if I push 1,000, I get X% back. This is how many I get. Like that. And unfortunately, we won't see companies stop doing that because it's a very easy way to go to market, right? But that, from my perspective, if you continue to run that GTM play, it's going to be a very hard play to win.
Is this why you and where Grow From, we promote and coach and train specifically on this multi-channel approach?
Correct.
Where it's not just email, it's not just calling, there's video, there's
Text.
social, there's SMS.
Yeah.
It's a multi-channel approach. Do you want to share a bit of insight as to why we're just so heavy advocates of that process?
Because again, we've got to go to where the buyer is, the channel that the buyer likes to engage in as well. We've got great examples of SMS. A lot of people giving me, I can't be sending an SMS to a prospect, etc. But SMS is the best channel to engage any consumer and corporate, right? 93% is read within 3 minutes. We know that. But again, it shouldn't be the sole channel, and it shouldn't be a channel where you send a massive SMS like you're sending an email, because that's not how you leverage it. Omnichannel works because one of the biggest challenges all organizations, and again, this is across consumer and B2B, is capturing the attention of the person we're trying to engage. So this is why, if you think about how many notifications an individual gets a day, it could be 100, it could be 200, WhatsApp, SMS, phone, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta. Consumers and individuals are overwhelmed. The reason why we use multiple channels is because the first objective is just to capture their attention.
Yeah.
So by leveraging different channels, there's a channel they probably have more of a preference to engage, right? By also adding a video potentially or a voice note in some of those channels, you're bringing the human element to it, yeah? By dropping that voice note, and again, it's not a, hey, call me back. The purpose is not to get them to call you back. It's just to say, I'm trying to reach you. This is who I am. Then they see you do that on LinkedIn, and they see an email, and there's a message that's relevant for them. Then we've increased the chances of them seeing it, going, yes, this is for me. I'm going to respond. Because remember, the whole premise of prospecting, if we talk about it from a prospecting perspective, is not to sell. It's just to capture their attention. Then if your message is drafted in a way that's relevant to them, there's a good chance they'll respond, or they'll give us time to send another one or another message that'll build on the previous one, right? So the omni-channel clustered model is absolutely key for any go-to-market team. And I'm going to say this, not just for outbound, but for inbound. If you've got an inbound demand gen strategy and you're not leveraging an omni-channel, we spoke, you were on the call, massive Australian brand that we've been working with, and their sales team give up after 3 attempts.
Yeah. This is a multi-billion-dollar company.
And it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And they don't send, it was call, email, close. And they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on ads, on trying to generate leads. So they're leaving that much money on the table. And what we've also found, the individuals that were being successful in that team, they were going outside of the status quo and they extended their outreach to 5 and they were getting a better conversion rate. So even in that team, there was not a predictable model being executed.
What does a go-to-market campaign look like where attention spans are under 8 seconds in your world? Like I got a view here, right? So like really hook-based strategies, bite-sized content, and high-value content will dominate in this short attention span world that we're in.
And I also think like one of the things when you look at some of the incredible content contributors on LinkedIn, you know, I love them. You're from a B2B perspective, you've got Morgan Ingram, you've got Jen Allen, Leslie. There's so many individuals that are really creating content that resonates with their audience because it comes from a place of, it's very practical. You can execute it. And there's a lot to be said around this. And it's not just about, like if you think about the GTM model, a one-touch approach doesn't win because it doesn't impact the person engaging with it to a point where it gets them thinking differently. And this is why it's not a short-term process either. So a GTM model shouldn't be about, well, I'm going to run one campaign. And in that campaign, I'm going to run this message and then I'm going to hope that campaign wins. You keep building on it. And you leverage your individual contributors to engage with people on a one-to-one basis while marketing are doing their top line stuff. They're running, you know, and Grant Thornton does this really well in Australia. They're running webinars, podcasts, events. They've got ambassadors. They're doing outreach direct. And what they're seeing is their demand gen, that multiple channel inbound, outbound is driving more awareness and they're building more engaged opportunities in their pipeline, right? And that's the other thing. It's got to be a combination of inbound and outbound, yeah?
No, that's perfect. Louis, thanks for sharing your tips for 2025. For those that are watching and listening, if you want to get daily tips on how to scale to $10 million and above, just visit growforum.io/newsletter and get your first lesson today.